Okay, so I've had some people ask about incubating leopard gecko eggs. I've done quite a few methods and I just prefer this one. So this is my first, well, I'll show you a couple other methods first. First is you can individually put vermiculite or perlite into a deli cup. Poke a couple holes in the top. If you don't poke a couple holes in the top, you'll have to open it up about once a week to refresh the air. And then what you can do is write either with a Sharpie on top of it, or I use little sticky tags and you put a sticky tag on top of it, or a label, so that you know which eggs are being incubated. What you do is either put whatever group they are or whatever the parents are and what date they were laid. That will help you get a good idea of when the eggs should be hatching. Now what I do is this is just a fishing tackle box. You can pick them up at Dick's Sporting Goods. They're also called bead boxes. And I have all the different groups and or whatever morph it is and whatever date it was laid, and I put them on top of each. And the tags that I use are the best ones I've found are the Avery tags. You can buy them at Office Depot. And the good thing about them is they stick, but they'll peel up easily. You don't want one that sticks and ends up like getting super stuck and you have all the leftover residue and all that stuff. You don't want any of that. Now, what most people will say is do a 0.8% water to 1 ratio of vermiculite or perlite. I personally, I don't know, I've been doing this for quite a while and I just have the knack for it. So what I do is I have the box, and I love it because it's the perfect size for 2 eggs to be able to hatch out, or 2 babies to be able to hatch out, and you not have to worry about a space thing. And I just go through and I just remist, and I know what I feel is right, and it seems to work pretty well for me. So what I use is just vermiculite. This is Stay Green brand from Home Depot. But I'm actually going to be switching. I finally found some of the coarse vermiculite, and I like this kind just a little bit better because it's much bigger chunks and it holds water a little bit longer. So I've got this stuff warming up, and I'll be switching the eggs over here pretty soon to the thicker stuff. But the smaller vermiculite works just as well. Now some people believe incubate till there's no debate. And I've had some people ask me, well, when do you throw an egg away? When's an egg bad? Well, these, when they're nice and white like this is obviously a perfect egg. This is what you're wanting. You don't want any mold on it or anything like that. Another thing that you can do is take a Sharpie marker and write on the top of the egg so that you know which side's up, so you can always keep them up. There's a lot of thought that rotating the egg will drown the babies. I personally, I mean, I'll pull eggs out and I'll candle them, I'll put them back in, and I almost never have eggs go bad from anything like that. So a few ways to tell when an egg is bad. One, here you go. This is a bad egg. It's deflated. If you squeeze it, there'll either be nothing in there, or you see how the fluid's just popping around. So I can personally say that this egg is no good. There's no mold on it yet, but when they're this flimsy, they're bad. So I'll throw those away here in just a few. Sometimes you'll get eggs that look kind of like this one, where they almost look good, but they're kind of caved in a little bit. And what I do is I touch them, and if you squeeze it and it's super hard, you can almost guarantee that egg's bad also. So that one egg will go bad. And sometimes it's just 1 out of the 2, so the clutch mate's nice and is a nice, good, healthy egg. Sometimes the eggs dent in a little bit like this. You can see a little bit of a dent there. I wouldn't worry about that. I'd keep incubating that one until it either hardens up or gets moldy. So those eggs are all, I've got a couple bad ones in there, but sometimes, I mean, it doesn't matter. You're always going to have a couple bad eggs. There's no geckos out there that are going to produce awesome eggs every time. Oh, and people ask often what's up with this stuff back here, but these are just after the eggs hatch, I just toss them back in the corner and I just like to keep them to see how many eggs I've produced at the end. Most of the eggs in there look nice and good. There's no moldy ones. For egg incubation temperatures, I personally incubate at 90 degrees for males, which is this incubator. And also one thing that I do is I'll have a little pink post-it note, and I put that on the eggs that's supposed to hatch next. That way I can just glance in and have a good idea which egg should be hatching next. So that's 90 degrees, and at 90 degrees you have a really high percentage chance of them all being male. I also incubate at 82 degrees, and this is for my females. Another substrate that I was trying out also is, I believe this is Hatchright. It's one of the substrates that are manufactured to be that, and it does a good job. It holds moisture really well, and I'm pretty happy with it. Most of the eggs in here are looking good. This one's okay. Here's a good example of a for sure bad egg. If I squeeze this, I can feel it's super hard, and I know it might sound a little bit morbid, but what I do is I open up every egg to see if it is for sure bad. And we got a deli cup here. So what I'll do is I'll just need to grow another hand. I just rip the top part of the egg off, and you can squeeze it out and see how that's nice and hard and just chunky. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. That, when you're squeezing it and you're feeling that hard, that's what's inside the egg, and that's just no good. So that's an example of what a bad egg looks like when you pull it out. So the Hatchright stuff works just as well, and I recommend it as well. If you can't find any vermiculite, make sure when you get vermiculite that you use the vermiculite that has no fertilizers in it. Those will contaminate your eggs and cause them to go bad. Here's a few more. There's a couple. Sometimes you miss eggs, and they'll be pretty sunken in like that. And in that case, I always toss them in the incubator just to make sure. But these two are for sure bad. They're as hard as a rock. So those two are bad. They can go. The rest of them are looking pretty good. It's pretty amazing the size difference between some of the eggs. How's that for a comparison? This is from a clutch. It's actually from Giants, but it doesn't really matter. Some Giants generally have a little bit bigger eggs, but this is from one of my Pacific Greens, so that's a pretty monstrous size difference. But they'll all hatch out about the same size, somewhere between 3 to 5 grams. And I think I've covered pretty much all of the information needed. So just to recap, tackle boxes or bead boxes, you can get them from Bass Pro Shop or Dick's Sporting Goods or any craft store. And perlite, vermiculite, or Hatchright of some kind for substrate. 0.8 water to 1 ounce substrate. So for every 1 ounce of substrate, you add in 0.8 ounces by weight, not by volume, by weight of water. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask, and I will try to answer to my best of my knowledge. Thanks, and make sure you subscribe and check out the Facebook page.